one of, if not the most unique Marvel movie ever made. This film has a ton of discourse. It has a ton of dislike from a lot of the fans. But one thing is for certain, is this movie left an impact. Whether that's a good one or a bad one is for you to decide. But the only real information that we have about this movie and what COVID may have changed is very, very little. But in this video, I'm going to go over what I've learned from the cast, from the director, and from what I've been able to piece together about Marvel's Eternals. Let's roll this intro and jump right in. Let's start with what we do know. Director Chloe Zhao originally considered a darker, more ambiguous ending, something involving a memory wipe for the Eternals. But before release, that was changed to a clearer, more hopeful conclusion. When COVID hit, post-production had been done remotely, meaning editors, visual effects artists, and Zhao herself were finishing the movie entirely from home. That affected everything from tone to timing. Leah McHugh, who played Sprite in this film, she said she was surprised by what actually got cut in this film, including a full scene that she filmed with Angelina Jolie that Zhao later removed in editing. That's proof that the decisions were still being made all the way up until the release of the movie, which is very typical with the Marvel movies from what I have learned. So anybody who were freaking out with Brave New World, now with Doomsday, etc., this is something that they've been doing for a long, long time, and Eternals is no stranger to that. Now, going into more information that we do know, Chloe Zhao said something really interesting. That Eternals came out, quote, when everyone was having an existential crisis. And that kind of makes sense when you think about it. The movie is about gods questioning their purpose and whether humanity deserves saving. While the world was literally isolated in chaos. That timing probably changed how audiences connected with it, maybe a little bit for certain people. People weren't in the mood for something philosophical. You know, they wanted lighthearted escapism, which I personally, I'm going to touch on this now while I'm talking about it. I think Eternals is one of the most unique movies that Marvel's ever made, and when we're talking about the conclusion, I'll jump in more about that. But I think it was so unique that it was so different that people wanted it but didn't want it at the same time. We are so used to having the same thing, the same formula, and it coming out peak, to when we change the formula after we asked for it and we don't like it, we want to go back to what we had. That's one issue that I think Eternals ran into, unfortunately. Another huge factor was the China release for this movie. Because of past comments Chloe Zhao made that drew scrutiny in China, Eternals was never released there. And I do believe it was also due to the, I'm saying this with air quotes, the sex scene that Icarus and Cersei had in this movie. I don't believe that the people of China like that, if I remember that right, or maybe it was somewhere in the Middle East that didn't like it, I don't recall. But that was a massive hit to Marvel's global box office plans, because when you think about it, and you can look at Avatar, for example, you can look at Jurassic World, for example, a lot of the box office domination comes from global. It doesn't come from the US, and a lot of these big places like China feed a lot of money into these movies. With this not releasing in China, with it being in COVID, that killed its box office. It also changed how Disney marketed the film worldwide to ensure that there would be no issues further down the line. Now, let's talk about the post-credit scenes, because this one doesn't really have a lot to do with Eternals, but a lot to do with setting something up. Now, let's talk about Dane Whitman. He opens up the case holding the ebony blade, and we hear a mysterious voice say, "You sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?" That voice was none other than Mahershala Ali, aka Blade, confirmed by Chloe Zhao herself. Now, even though we didn't see him, that moment was meant to tease Marvel's supernatural corner, leading into Blade, Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, a much darker MCU. But since then, nothing's happened. Well, since up until maybe the other day, I did see a report that Blade is still on the docket to come out, but it probably will not come out until the next saga, which, like I've been telling people, makes sense because how would Blade fit in logically with the multiverse saga? It doesn't. It needs to happen somewhere else. Now, the Blade movie. Let's just be frank, it is stuck in developmental hell. It's being rewritten over and over and over. It's finding new directors. It's finding new cast members. The only thing that stayed with this movie this entire time is Mahershala Ali as Blade and Mia Goth as someone. The villain, who knows? But those two are reportedly still attached to the movie. Kudos to you two. Still, this confirmation that Blade is already active in the MCU was huge, especially for me being a Blade fan. But this was likely a warning for Dane that the sword feeds on blood and corruption. Blade's whole story is about walking the line between humanity and monstrosity. So he might have seen the Ebony Blade as a threat. He saw Dane potentially as an ally. But if he gets corrupted, he may have to take him out, depending on how he handles that blade. If Kit Harington comes back, who knows anymore, unfortunately. Now, staying on the post-credit scenes, Marvel has said the following information. Marvel said that the post-credit scene was meant to be something bigger. And here's a few theories that we have heard. Blade could have been recruiting Dane to join the Midnight Suns team, a supernatural Avengers group, if you will. Another one, which I believe I actually asked Kit Harington when I saw him in Texas. Dane might appear in Blade's solo movie, or at least get mentioned again. Now, this one, I don't think there's any claim to this anymore. I love Kit Harington, but with everything that's going on with Blade, I don't think he's in that movie at all. Maybe a post-credit scene, but he's not going to be in the movie, in what we thought. Here's probably the most likely theory, which again I just touched on not too long ago, is that the MCU might eventually branch into a gothic horror post-Secret Wars, which makes sense. Fun fact though for you, Kit Harington even admitted he didn't know whose voice that was when they were filming. He found out later that it was Blade, and said he hopes to share scenes with Mahershala Ali in the future. Fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen, fingers crossed. Now for closing thoughts. Eternals was supposed to be the second film released in Marvel's Phase 4 following Black Widow. But with the 1-year delay and all the COVID chaos, it ended up in a really weird spot. It underperformed at the box office. Fans were pretty much divided, if not very clearly one-sided. Me personally, I love this movie. I think this movie is visually gorgeous, ambitious, and it's one of the most boldest Marvel films ever. And a cast that has a variety of characters for everybody. You know, doesn't matter your race, your sexuality, your gender, there is a character in this film for you somewhere. And I love that. You can relate to a lot of these people. But ultimately, even if this came out on time as the second movie in Phase 4, I think people still would have been one-sided and disliked this movie. It's too different from the usual MCU formula, and that's both its strengths and its flaw. If anything, if it came out second, we may have gotten a sequel. Maybe not. I wish I knew. This is the one that I wish I knew more about, because this film is, I think on my letterbox it's top 15, maybe top 12. It's a great movie to me. But to conclude this, what do you guys think? Would Eternals have done better if it came out in its original slotted time without all the delays? Do you think you would have liked it? Do you like Eternals? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to share with your friends, subscribe for more content, and hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. We are close to the end of the year. I'm close to getting married. Things are picking up, and that's all I can say until the next time. The next movie that we're going to be reviewing like this is going to be Shang-Chi. That one is going to be a fun one, because I can't wait to talk and learn and see where Shang-Chi would be at today. So until next time, geeks, signing off.